we see Samuel. So Matthew, you told me that I can come out of this turning point. You told me that I can make it, but how do I prepare myself to come out? How do I prepare myself to come out? Well, the first thing you need to do is to recognize that there has to be consecration before conversion. Consecration before conversion. Look at verse 1 right there. Verse 1 says, then Samuel took a flask of oil and poured it on his head and kissed him and said, is it not because the Lord has anointed you commander over his inheritance? Now, oftentimes we see in the church conversion before consecration. But Samuel here shows us another paradigm. Now, I asked Samuel, I said, Samuel, why in the world did you consecrate him before the turn? Why did you consecrate him before his turn? He said, Matthew, the reason why I consecrated him before his conversion is because I wanted him to know that he was anointed for the journey. He said, I wanted him to know that no matter what he went through, no matter what circumstances he came up against along the journey, that the last thing and the foremost thing he needs to know is that he was anointed for this. Come here, let me talk to you for a minute. I know you've been dealing with issues. I know you've been dealing with circumstances, but can I tell you, you have been anointed for this. The reason why you haven't lost your mind, the reason why you haven't thrown in the towel, the reason why you're not on the 13th floor of Grady is because God has anointed you for this. God has anointed you to go through what you've gone through. God has anointed you to do what you're doing right now. I know it's rough. I know it's hard. I know you may be going through some trials and tribulations and your pillow may be soaked with tears, but God wants me to encourage you that no matter what you're going through, you have been anointed for this. You have been anointed for this. The reason why you can keep coming to church with your head held up is because you've been anointed for this. The reason why you can smile in the face of your enemies and your haters is because you've been anointed for this. The reason why you can do what you can do and walk the way you can walk is because you've been anointed for this. When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard. Look at your neighbor, say, you've been anointed for this. You've been anointed. You've been anointed for this. But Samuel says something else. He says, Matthew, the reason why I anointed him before the turn, not only because he was anointed for this, but because I wanted him to know that no matter what was added or subtracted, he was still anointed. No matter what he lost or no matter what he gained, he was still anointed. I know in the times of our lives, we lose some things and we add some things, but God wants me to encourage you that no matter what you've lost in 2011, you're still anointed. No matter what has walked out of your life, no matter how many things have gotten out of your hand, God says you still have my favor. Is there anybody in here who can testify no matter what comes or no matter what goes, you're still favored in the Lord? No matter who walks in or who walks out, God, I know that you are my God and I don't need nobody else. I'm anointed for this. I'm still anointed. In fact, one of the best ways you know you're favored is because of what has been subtracted from your life. Let me say that again. One of the best ways you know you're favored of God is because what has been subtracted from your life. Now, only spiritual people can catch this because you have to understand. In the world, we say it's what's been added, but God says, no, it's what's been. In fact, can we just take 10 seconds and give God praise for the things that have been subtracted from our lives? Can we just take about 5 seconds and thank God? I'm glad they're gone. I'm glad I ain't got it no more. I couldn't pay that bill anyway.